Okay, on the line with us, we have an extremely special guest today. His name is Merrill Reese. He is a Temple graduate. He is the owner of WBCB 1490 AM, and he is the longest-serving broadcaster in the NFL at 38 years, and is the voice of your Philadelphia Eagles. Merrill, thank you so much for joining us today, and how are you?
I am well, Doug. 39, but who's counting?
Did you ever imagine, Merrill, that in your years as a Temple graduate, by the way, when did you graduate?
1874.
All right, well, we'll go with that. I could not find it online, and we're going to go with that. Did you ever imagine, in your years as a Temple graduate, that you would ever see a season like this and a game this special against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
No, I didn't. When I began broadcasting the games back on WRTI, Temple football games, they had lost like a million games in a row, and they were playing such national powers as Muhlenberg, Gettysburg, Kings Point, University of Buffalo. This was Susquehanna. They played Susquehanna and lost. If you had said to me Temple Notre Dame, I would have broken out in a rush.
So you say you play your Susquehanna, your Franklin and Marshalls. Obviously,
I don't think they were good enough for Franklin and Marshall. They could have just played Franklin.
That's fantastic. What was your favorite moment as a Temple football fan? I'm assuming this season and this game was your highlight as a Temple football fan. But what was your favorite moment leading up to this point?
When I did Temple football, my very favorite moment was when the season ended and they were ready to play basketball.
That's great. Let's switch gears for a second. You've been an Eagles broadcaster for, like you said, 39 years. You have an immense privilege of seeing these players in person for 16-plus games a season. Who is the all-Merrill team? Like a quarterback running, and I'm talking from what you've seen. Who's the all-Merrill team? Quarterback, receiver, tight end, and on defense too, like your skill positions, your safety, your quarterback.
Off the top of my head, I could give you some.
Sure.
In my 39 years, there have been some very good quarterbacks. Ron Jaworski took them to a Super Bowl. Randall Cunningham.
Oh, Merrill. Let me cut you off. I'm sorry. I mean, like, best players you've ever seen, not necessarily Eagles.
Not necessarily Eagles?
Yeah, best players you have ever witnessed.
Oh, you're talking all NFL.
Yeah, you're the all Merrill team.
Okay, the all NFL team. Look, this is my opinion.
Sure.
I think the best quarterback I've ever seen is Peyton Manning. Now, people today are going to argue Tom Brady because of what he does with the Patriots. I still think, watching Peyton Manning over the years, that he is just a little bit more of an offensive coordinator on the field. I just think he is an amazing quarterback. Here we saw him the other night at 38, 39 years old, where he can't move and his arm strength isn't there, and he goes and he dissects the Green Bay Packers. So Peyton Manning would be the quarterback. The running back, one would certainly be Walter Payton. He was
great choice,
absolutely amazing. And the other one, boy, hard to tell. I might pick somebody like Eric Dickerson, who was a great back.
What about a receiver, Merrill?
Well, this is pretty obvious. I think the number one would be Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing. And of the others, there were a lot of very, very good ones. It's tough to pick one when you're thinking of because Jerry Rice kind of stands alone. I'll tell you something. The 10 years that he played in the NFL, well, not all 10 because he was a rookie coming in, and then at the end he was injured. But maybe for the middle 6 years of his career, Mike Quick was as good as anybody I saw.
That's phenomenal. You mentioned Eric Dickerson. I visited the Pro Football Hall of Fame this past summer, and after just seeing what that man did, I really wish I had seen him play. At the same rate, Merrill, you mentioned the offensive players. Can you give me your defensive players, like your best linebacker, your best safety, and your best pass rusher you've ever seen?
Well, I'm very prejudiced, but
I know you're going to say for pass rusher.
Reggie White.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's a bulldozer.
Reggie White would be mine as far as a pass rusher is concerned. But I mean, there are people who would argue and say that that Strahan wasn't so bad also. And today, I mean, who is better than J.J. Watt? He is an amazing player. But I would say, all told, that Reggie White would be my number one pass rusher, number one defensive end. As linebacker, to be really honest with you, Zach, that's not even close. There is one linebacker who comes to mind who every defensive coordinator, every offensive coordinator had nightmares before they played him, and that was Lawrence Taylor.
Yep, Lawrence Taylor it is. What about a defensive back?
Well, there were, again, you're talking about a lot of greats at the position. A lot of, probably the Redskins had a great one who played forever, for practically 20 years, and that was Darrell Green. He was a great cover corner, and even though he was small in height, he could go up and defend the best players in the game. He was an extremely talented defensive back.
Well, there you have it. There's your all Merrill football team. Now I want to switch gears just slightly for a second. Merrill, who is your all-time broadcast team? Your duo.
Well, that would be tough for me to say because I watch the games. I don't evaluate the broadcasters, but I think there are a lot of wonderful broadcasters who are doing things in the National Football League and in college. I mean, the play-by-play guy who I absolutely love really is doing your SEC game on the weekends, and that's Vern Lundquist, who at one time was doing the Cowboy radio. Vern is, I mean, they're all terrific. Al Michaels is great, and of course, Jim Nance does a tremendous job. There's so many very, very good broadcasters throughout the National Football League, so I don't really have an all team. They're guys who I like a lot personally and professionally. I think Mike Tirico does a wonderful job, and there's a lot of great color commentators, like certainly John Madden was amazing in his own right for so many years. But I think that Chris Collinsworth does a great job. Troy Aikman does a terrific job. Bill Sims is excellent. I love watching John Gruden on a Monday night. And I hope I haven't left anybody out, but there are a lot of those guys who I think are just terrific.
Okay, thank you. Let's switch gears again. I just shared this story before you joined us, and I'm gonna tell it again. I was an intern with the Wilmington Blue Rocks over the summer, and they are the affiliate for the Kansas City Royals. So I bought a Royals hat, which I wore for games 1 and 2 of the World Series, didn't wear it for 3 and 4, and the Royals went 1-1 in those games, and I wasn't wearing it in Game 5. And I didn't put it on until the 8th inning, and what do you know? Disaster averted. What would have been the worst thing for a Philadelphia sports fan, or one of the worst, rather, a Mets World Series was averted. And I wore that Royals hat, and I'm now deeming that my lucky hat. Going into game day, Merrill, let's say it's you have 1 o'clock game day. Do you have any lucky items that you use? And take us through your average morning of Merrill Reese up to game day.
Okay, my average morning is I wake up very nervous, as I do for every game. Not so much to the team, but to the fact that I have a million things that have been poured into my head throughout the week. It's almost like walking into a final exam with all the number memorization and everything else. I probably get up about 6:30 on a home game. My wife Cindy will give me pancakes. Before that, I will do some psycho-cybernetics, just lie back very peacefully, envisioning everything and identifying the numbers. I'll have a heaping stack of pancakes because once I leave the house, I can't even look at food until the game is over. I will leave the house about 8:15, drive to the stadium, listening to a little music as I drive. I try to relax, get to the link probably around about 9:30, a quarter of 10 maybe. Go up to the press box, go into the press box, go into my booth, maybe read a novel, check out the newspapers, just relax. When the players get on the field, I will look at them, go through some mental play-by-play, identifying them, checking out who's healthy, who's not, watching the kickers, the punters, to see how the wind is affecting them on that day. And at 10:01, when my producer, Joe McPeak, cues me, I go on the air, all the nervousness disappears, and I have fun for the next 3 hours.
That's great, Merrill. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. There's probably about 2 million people in the Philadelphia area that would love to spend a day in your shoes. Now, Merrill, I actually have a request per Larry Kane. I was wondering if you could reenact your call. I watched it about 30 minutes ago. I was wondering if you could reenact your call of the Deshaun Jackson punt return versus the Giants. You can?
I couldn't. I'm not very good at reenacting. That's a lounge act. I'm just a broadcaster.
All good. Okay. Nonetheless.
Merrill, this is David Hennessey. I just want to thank you for your time, first off. You're one of my favorite voices in all of sports, so it's just great to have even a couple minutes to talk to you. I just wanted to know if you think this Eagles team has a chance of winning this, obviously, weak NFC East, but there's still some faults on the Eagles, clearly. What positional group do you think needs to improve the most for the Eagles, whether it be offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver? What do you think?
Yes, and yes. I think the big key is whether or not Jason Peters will be back in the lineup. He did not practice today, but Chip Kelly said he anticipates him being back on the. I mean, he was out there today. He didn't take a total part in the drills. Chip anticipates him being back tomorrow at practice. So that's a big thing because he is one of the, if not the greatest key to the offensive line. It's not a great secret that the wide receivers have to stop dropping the ball. They have to catch the ball. As far as Sam Bradford is concerned, I think he was better in the Carolina game. Sam will tell you he's still not playing at the level that he would like to play or that he believes that he can be at. So you need to see elevated performances in all three of those areas, and I think the defense itself is getting better. I think that Kiko Alonso, who appears to be healthy, is going to be a big addition to that defense, and I think the defense should be right just fine.
Yeah, I agree with your point on Kiko Alonso. I was just reading that he feels as if he studies the playbook and the Cowboys enough in the upcoming week, then he should be ready to go full force on Sunday. So that would be a huge addition for this defense.
Yep.
You mentioned how the offense has taken a few steps back. You know, field position is an enormous key in football, as I'm sure you would tell anybody. And the special teams is actually taking quite a step back. This team as well. They're not ranking as highly as they used to. What do the Eagles?
That's basically because there haven't been as many returns or things that have gone wacko where you end up with 9 special team touchdowns. But they're still very, very good. I can't remember any long returns against them. They have a great punter in Donnie Jones, and even the kicker Caleb Sturgis filling in for Cody Parkey has done well in recent weeks. So I think the special teams is a real plus.
Yeah, Sturgis has absolutely stepped up his game. That's a sight. That's a big relief because losing Parkey, I think, is a major loss. That guy is a.
By the way, a guy just walking right now. I'm standing outside the Eagles practice facility, and about 10 feet away, walking to his car, is maybe the best player on this football team, and that is Fletcher Cox.
That he is
tremendous.
Tell us more about him. Did you see this coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty obvious from his first day of training camp as a rookie. Very special player.
He's only 24 years old. I mean, the sky's the limit for that guy.
Can you imagine how good he can get? He's amazing.
It's shocking. Merrill, it's a huge week in Philly. Obviously, it's Cowboys week. Why is this team, that being the Cowboys, just so disliked? Is it the smug ownership? Is it the fact that they're the America's team, or is it the fans? What is it?
It goes back to the start of the Cowboys when a Cowboys linebacker by the name of Leroy Jordan kicked out the feet of a favorite Eagles back by the name of Timmy Brown. From that point on, the war was on. And, of course, all of the America's team stuff started to rankle people's nerves, and that it has been a long and bitter rivalry for all of the years, and it's still as much fun as ever.
Now, obviously, this team, this year, they played a game at the Link versus the Eagles. They had the home opener against the Cowboys. That's very unusual. And Tony Romo actually got hurt in that game. Are you concerned? Do you have any concern for the safety of the Eagles players against the Cowboys this week? Because you think maybe in the back of the Cowboys' minds they're a little upset about what happened previously?
No. Because it was a Jordan Hicks hit. It wasn't a dirty hit. They have enough to worry about just beating the Eagles. The Eagles have enough to worry about just beating the Cowboys. There's no retribution. There's none of that stuff that takes place. It's just football, and it's hard-fought football, and both teams better focus on what they have to do. If they focus on individual wars, it'll cost them.
David Hennessey here again, Merrill. This is obviously a huge week with Dallas coming up again for the second time and final time this season. Even though this NFC East is still pretty wide open, all things considered, one team at 4-4, 2 at 3-4, and then the Cowboys in the bottom at 2-5. If the Eagles beat the Cowboys this week and they fall to 2-6, Do you think the Cowboys have a realistic shot of winning this division at slim to none? Because
No.
Oh, you think they still have a good shot?
I don't think the Cowboys have a good shot.
Oh,
no.
okay.
And I think if the Eagles beat the Cowboys, they have a good chance of going on a 4-game winning streak. So let's see what happens from here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Romo coming back as late as week 11 is really troubling for them. He's really the entirety of their offense.
Yeah, and I don't think he's the greatest quarterback in the world either. We're talking about Tony Romo, and we're making him into Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers, and he's not all that. He's a quarterback who's won, one playoff game? I mean, I'm not denigrating him. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but he's not the guy who carries a team on his back the way somebody, even like a Cam Newton did last night, where he runs and he throws and he finds plays. Tony Romo is a pretty good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback for Dallas, but I don't put him up with the elite quarterbacks in this league.
Absolutely agree, Merrill.
Hey, Merrill, it's JT. Once again, pleasure having you on. So my thing is, the NFC East seems like it's looking like the NFC South of last year. It's not very good. Teams in the division this year. Do you think it's just a fluke year for the division, or is this something that could be a problem? Is the division getting progressively worse in your opinion?
No, things change from year to year. Right now, there's certainly a lot of parity. Nobody is running away with it, which is a good thing for the Eagles, who are not off to a good start. But things can change quickly, and I still think somebody's going to win this division with probably 10 wins. Anyhow, guys, I have to go back into the locker room and do my own question asking, just as you are right now, and I thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I wish to congratulate Temple on the wonderful football program that they now have under Matt Rule, and I wish you guys the best of success.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Merrill. Really appreciate a moment of your time. All the best.
Okay.
Go
Bye-bye.
Birds.